Segment 3, Gold and Black Live, and yes, a couple Hall of Famers. This may be a Gold and Black Live first, and we have 2 Hall of Famers on at the same time, and 2 guys that don't like to talk about the fact they're Hall of Famers, but they just went ahead and did it. Coach Jim Young and Mark Herrmann, both key members, to say the least, of a very successful period of Purdue football. Coach Young was here from 1977 to 81. Mark Herrmann, the quarterback, from 1977 to 80. So there are so many stories to start with that at least come off my top of my head. You never had a disagreement with Mark, right? He did everything that you always wanted him to do as a player.
Except throw interceptions.
You had so much confidence in him, especially as his career evolved.
Well, he started the week before his first game as a freshman.
Yeah.
He fumbled on the 2-yard line or something, so I didn't start him.
Yeah.
And we got behind Michigan State. He went in there and threw 2 beautiful touchdown passes and never left the field after that for 4 years. I mean, he was our quarterback. Got hurt a couple games his senior year, but other than that, that was it. He had a great touch on the football.
And you know, it's if you're not a student of Purdue football in this era, it was a blast to watch. Not only the offense but the defense too. And I remember, Mark, in your first game against Michigan State, and you and I have discussed this about, you still may have nightmares about it at Angelo Fields and being introduced to the Big Ten, but you had to be tough. But talk about, because that's the 77 season, you guys certainly showed that you were capable of playing well and winning. You won 5 games and had shots to beat Notre Dame, certainly, and do some really good things there. And you did some good things. But what turned it for you? I mean, what was there a moment? The Michigan State game, the first game of the 78th season, was not one of your better games, but something changed. What changed?
Yeah, that whole first year, I was once again trying to change a culture to get into a position that we could believe we could win, and I think it's similar right now here at Purdue. We had some games where we were very competitive, but came up short and lost IU the last game, which we didn't play well at all. And so Coach Young really focused that whole offseason on getting off to a great start. And an opening conference game against Michigan State, who was one of the better teams in the league back then, and we figured if we could compete and win that football game, then I think the momentum would start to build. And we got behind, and I didn't play particularly well. I got a key block when Russell Pope.
That was your block.
Yeah.
On that 60-yard run, reverse of field.
I kind of found my way away from the defenders, but he made a great play. And then I remember we had a little trap play with John Macon.
31
right up
yards
the
for the touchdown.
Untouched.
On 4th down.
Yes. So I was worried because they were bunched in the gap. So I'm thinking, do I get out of this play? And I said, no, I'm just going to hand it. And it just opened up like the Red Sea. And we ended up winning that game. I think it was 100 degrees that day. They were dying, and we were in really great condition that day. And so that was the key to our season, I think. I think from then on, I think the belief and everything the coach was talking about in the offseason kind of sunk in, and we thought, okay, here we go.
Now, Coach, when in your days at Arizona before coming to Purdue, you did throw the football, as I recall, but you also coached at Michigan with Bo Schembechler, and you knew how to run the ball. What did you just sit there when you took the job at Purdue? Did you look at this and say, this is a great opportunity because why?
Well, backing up, when I was coaching him at Michigan and we played Purdue, we beat them 9-6.
Yeah, 1972.
Okay, and they had the best personnel going. They had, as I recall, 7 first-round draft picks.
Dave Butts, Otis Armstrong, Darryl Stingley,
right?
Bingham.
And so then I went to Arizona, and I was there 4 years. So I assumed that Purdue had the same talent, which was not the case. And the first spring, we had 11 quarterbacks on the team, but none of them were Big Ten quarterbacks. And Mark, he was the first guy I recruited, and he was going to Notre Dame, I
Yeah,
think, and not too interested in us because we were a running team.
with
No,
Alex
we
X.
actually passed quite
Yeah.
a bit too, but we're different. We ran triple option and split back and passed at Arizona. So I showed him some of our film so he'd know that we were a passing team. And I can't say exactly why he decided, but he decided to come, and
Yeah,
that was Purdue football. That's why we won. You can talk about anything, but having him for 4 years established the program.
Yeah. What did get you to change?
Well,
I mean, what convinced you?
you know,
at the
right,
end of the day?
right away, I felt a trust with Coach Young, and he said, you know, I've been around different offenses, and if you're the guy, I know how to build an offense around what you do well. And
Yeah.
obviously, running was not what I did well,
Yeah.
but, you know, developing a pocket passing game and moving the pocket a little bit and little short bootlegs and things, we could do that. And I believe that he was a man of his word.
Yeah.
And I was going to go to Notre Dame. I didn't feel Purdue at that point was where I maybe needed to be. So I just, all of a sudden my gut said, okay, I trust him, and I feel like if I could win the job, then he's going to take care of me and do what's best for me and our team. So.
Yeah, and
A great, if I could interject.
go, by all means.
A great quarterback who, at the time when he was done here at Purdue, was the leading passer in the history of college football.
Yeah.
That's all forgotten now. You're probably 50th or 100th or
yeah,
something, because it's a passing game. But
Yeah.
in that period, it wasn't a passing game
Yeah.
like it dominates the game now.
Well, we had fun doing that research this week, and I'll have to share it with you because Mark's best 4 games spread in yards now, and it was late in your career with Iowa and Illinois in 1980, but it stacks right up with Jim Everett and even Drew Brees. I think it's actually 3rd or 4th in a 4-game spread, and again based on yards. But you were no shrinking violet. I mean, you got the job done and then some, and it was an interesting and just a fun time to be I happened to be a student at Purdue at that time, just a great time to be a student and be a part of this. And that's kind of what we're seeing now, and you're going to get a chance to see this firsthand. Now, I know you haven't had a chance to, hopefully tomorrow you'll get a chance to, I'm sure you will, with Coach Jeff Brom, but what have you seen? And I don't know how much you get a chance to watch Purdue, but
I
assume you
watch as much, I think I've seen 3 or 4.
What do you
games.
see when you're watching them play?
Well, I see a quarterback that's really throwing the ball
Yeah, David Blau.
real good now. And I see an aggressive defensive coordinator who, if he transfers that to the defense, which I think they're
Nichols
doing,
yeah.
they're going to be pretty good there. So, no, I think Purdue is coming. And I stay Pete Gwynn, who informs me of all things. He is very high on what's going to happen. So we'll just have to see. But I think the enthusiasm and that first game, even though we lost, with the crowd.
Yeah.
Because when I've been watching Purdue the last few years, there's nobody in the stands.
That is
And
sadly
that
but
one
true.
was
Right.
good. Can I say something
Yes,
about
you
him
may,
that-
please.
That I just thought about? One of the things that he did as a senior, we were talking, I don't think any quarterback has done since he was here. The coaches called the plays,
Right.
and nowadays you see everybody looking to the sidelines to get the signals. Okay, well, Mark got hurt the opening game against Notre Dame, and Scott Campbell, who was a true freshman, went in and played a heck of a game, but the rest of the seniors didn't perform too well. And
He's pointing at Pete Quinn.
yeah, and Bart. and anyhow, and then Mark came back and played. And we played Wisconsin, and he had a bad hand. The only way he could take the snap was
Yeah.
take it left-handed.
Left-handed,
And so we came back and beat Wisconsin in a tight game. We're playing Miami of Ohio here.
Yeah.
And he threw 2 interceptions in
Yes.
the first quarter.
Yeah.
And the start of the second quarter, the middle guard for Miami intercepted the pass.
Yeah.
And I was teed off, three interceptions. And I was going to put Campbell, Mark knew it.
Oh, yeah.
He went and sat on the sidelines, and I was putting Campbell in the game. And then something went through my mind and said, you don't want to do this to your senior quarterback that's been so good. So I said, get in there, Mark, and if you think you can call plays better than me, you get in there and call them. So he went in and called, and for that whole season, the rest of the season, he called every play, right? Yeah, and I think he went 99 passes before he had it. Yeah. But I mean, it's a great thing. I doubt if that's been done where you just turn the whole game over to the quarterback, which is what I did with him.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he did that and all of a sudden turned from a horrible game that I had to turning over to play calling, I guess it kind of shook something in my head. And then once you're calling the plays, there's an extra level of concentration. So I wanted to make every play work. And from then on, that game, I think we trounced him the rest of the way. And but that's an empowering feeling when you can call plays and get immediate feedback from your line.
And it was also good for the rest of the players. They loved that. The coaches weren't involved. The players were.
I had 6 guys coming back to the huddle saying, "I'm open, I'm open."
Yeah. And then we went to the bowl game, and Mark had finals, and so I said, well, I'll call it in the bowl game against Missouri. And I called the first 2 series, and we didn't move. And then I said, go ahead, Mark. And we scored the next time, didn't we? So,
upset and beat Missouri, won your 3rd straight bowl game, and actually was a slight upset. You know, there's money in that offensive coordinator thing. If you decide, they make like $1 million a year.
Oh, I know
now.
they do.
Yeah. And that's a great thing. I love that. We were talking about off air about the changes in college football, and you guys had the experience in the last hour to go produce a football performance complex. Mm-hmm. You ever seen anything like that?
No.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes, it's amazing.
They have hot and cold running water in there and other things. It's unbelievable.
They have a little bit more than hot and cold running water.
No, I mean, and not to get into a philosophical discussion, but it is amazing. I mean, it was a big deal in the 70s, and college football was a big deal, but there was 2 games on national television a week, it seemed. Now, you know, you can watch Purdue play just about, from Tucson, Arizona, watch the Boilermakers play just about every game live. Did you ever think it was going to be this way?
Well, no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not when you're in a particular era. You don't realize where you're going in anything, I don't think. Yeah. But, you know, television has had so much to do with that, of bringing the money in and making all those things possible.
Yeah, and absolutely on that front. I mean, it's we used to think that you guys had a big weight room back in the day, and it was about 1/50th of the size of what. And you barely lifted. Well, I think you did lift weights, but it was the Nautilus machines, as I recall.
Yeah, maybe a universal machine too.
Yeah,
this little real runner thing that we had to do, and we did. You know, who knows? I may have had a longer career in the NFL if I'd have been able to bench.
I was going to say, I don't think you ever knew where the
where was that weight room? Never did find it.
I think he needs years of therapy to work his way through that one. Coach, and we've talked about the things that you enjoy doing now. One of us, I'm sure, is watching football, but piano lessons. I mean, like I said, you're my idol of how to do this life thing from my age to yours. Well, what gets you interested in different things?
Well,
you've written books.
I call it a snap of the mind. I sort of know, and I think everybody has that to a degree. You sort of say, hey, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And that's I wanted to become a golfer. I worked on that, and I got to be an average golfer. Then I wasn't so hard on golfing.
Yeah.
And I taught at a gospel rescue mission, and like talking to a football team in many respects. So it's just different than piano. When I was I don't know where you want all this.
No, I want to hear it all.
When I was a little kid, my mother made me take lessons, and I never practiced. And so I always wanted to play it. And so about 8 years ago, I said, I'm going to take lessons. And Jade, my wife, who's a talented musician, said, And so I took lessons, and I played in a recital. And the recital had about 15, 20 people in it, ages 7 to 15. And then there was me, age 75. And my wife says, you're nervous about playing. She said, you used to be in front of 100,000 people. And I said, yeah, but I'm out of my
Out of your element.
element. So no, I'm not very good.
Are there
at finding
YouTube videos of you playing piano?
that. No, I
know
hope
that.
not.
Well, we need to get some, because I think I would love to see that. What did Coach Young teach you in profession? I mean, about how to, not only how to live, but how to deal with challenges or whatever. What did you learn from your experience? What did you take most? What's your biggest takeaway from him?
Just like he said, he found something, a goal. He was the most goal-oriented guy I've ever been around, and innovative. Any way to get a mental edge, and I think that's the way Jeff Brom is. Any way to get an edge on your opponent and make you a better person, make you a better player, give yourself an opportunity to succeed, not only on the playing field, but once you're done. And so, his total focus on getting something better, and he focused on getting us better as an offense and as a team. So, we went to the shotgun. We moved Dave Young in motion more than anybody did with a tight end in the country, and we were just able to stay ahead of the game, and I think that's the best thing I took from him. And he was demanding of me, but I felt like he was my biggest fan, and so I think we had such a great relationship. And by my junior and senior year, I think we thought alike, and so that kind of helped us succeed. But no, Coach Young's the best coach I've ever had at any level, and I think just the lessons and the things that he taught us about getting better and just and succeeding at a higher level. So it was great relationship.
Can I say one thing about the Ohio State game you're
I was
talking
going to
about?
ask you about that.
I wanted to get this
Yeah,
because
we
we
got
were
time.
talking over there. We got run off the field over in Ohio Stadium the year
39
before.
to 0 at the half.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to remind
And
you.
after the game, Woody said I eased up on it. So anyhow, the
He was
week
so-
of the game, in those days, I don't know what they do now, but you had what you call a clobber board, where you put the pictures of all the opposing players
Yeah.
and how good they are and their stats in the locker room. And that week, I cut out elephants, girls, anything that had nothing to do with Ohio State as my clobber board. I don't remember that. And then on Friday night, we always went to a movie, have a shoot 'em up Western or something like that. We went to Animal House when it first came out.
I'm visiting that, but go ahead.
But anyhow, so we just sort of changed everything, and Mark had a great game, and
Because
we
it was a
won.
nightmare in Columbus that year.
Oh, yeah,
Because
it was
I
a
threw
hard
a
deal.
pick six to Mike Guess
Yeah, right.
early in the game.
First or second play from
So-
scrimmage, right.
So that next year when we did that, the double move and Mike beat Mike Guess on that play, that was very satisfying, and we beat Woody, which was, which was wonderful, and little did I know I would be roommates of Art Schleister with the Colts, and so we beat them.
He'd Art also was a freshman. Art was a freshman that year.
Right.
Yeah.
So to come back from a debilitating, miserable defeat to beat them at home, and we handled them pretty well.
Yeah.
It was 27-16.
27-16,
Yeah,
I think.
and
Yeah.
I've got to add one more thing
Yeah.
to that, because you have the Big Ten meetings, all the coaches at the end of the year. And Woody would talk to everybody, how you doing, and so forth. But the only person he really would engage was Bo Schembechler, who had coached for him and played for him and all that. After that game, we had the Big Ten meetings. He talked to me. And I thought, man, that is something. Woody's talking to me now because I beat him.
And that you did. That was a magical day from a Purdue fan. Anytime Purdue beats Ohio State, it's a big deal. And therein lies, there is a chance tomorrow night. I mean, they've got an absolute opportunity in front of them, and I think it is how the Boilermakers frame it, and can they get off to a good start and get some confidence in what they're doing. It should be a great night for football. And when was the last time you were in Ross-Ade Stadium, Coach? Do you remember?
Well,
Because I know you've been back. but-
yeah, I believe it was a Ohio State game about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, so, and you may have brought him luck. Purdue's had some good luck against the Buckeyes, winning 4 of the last 7 since 2000. And I was looking at today, Purdue's beaten them 6 times. They've only beaten them 8 times in Ross-Ade Stadium. and all of us here have been there for 6 of them. So there's my alarm going off. I guess the show's about to stop. So, so we'll look forward to do it, and I will take. I don't know if I can turn my alarm off. Maybe I can throw my iPad out the door.
Maybe that's the people calling in and saying, get those guys
Yeah,
off the
yeah.
air.
All right. Well, we will say thank you to, as my alarm continues to go off, and say thank you to Jim Young and to Mark Herrmann, and also to our sponsors at Triple X, John Bass, and also the fact that Hilton Garden Inn has been with us for a long time, and State Farm agent Trent Johnson. We will be back next week if my alarm turns off. I can figure out how to turn it off, but it's the internet, so I'm not going to do that. We'll be back next week on Golden Black Live. Leroy Keys, Kathy Wright-Eager will join us as we'll talk Purdue Michigan State football as well. Have a great week, everybody. And yes, that alarm will be off by next week. We'll see you then. Thank you.